Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the next installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast that I hear gets rave reviews on the internet. Wait, or does my mom say that? I don't know. But anyway, I check my analytics. You listen still. So, hey, thanks for coming in week out. We're getting near 100, so it's kind of awesome. But anyway, let's talk about our awesome sponsor, the title sponsor of the podcast, the Go Fastiest and the Less Suckiest. Go Fast, Don't Suck. He's awesome. Bill's great. He's a hoot. If you see him at a match, make sure you say hi. Tell him that you need to buy whatever he's selling because he probably has something you want, and your needs. Matches. If you need match banners, contact Bill. He's going to give you probably the best price in the industry. Knowing Bill, he makes it very affordable for you and him. So, hey, go check that out. Awesome banners. I have a few here. My match will probably have more Go Fast, Don't Suck banners. So check him out. Dry Fire Targets, match jerseys, match shirts if you want them, hats, hoodies, you name it. The memes, Bill, we need more spicy memes lately, brother. But hey, that's beside the point. But anyway, gofastdon'tsuck.net. Tell him Manny sent you. Move on through your day. Without further ado, let's get to today's guest. Today's guest is Mr. Joey Zadik. Joey, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thank you for joining me on this lovely Wednesday night.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No problem. I think fun fact, I went to my first ever USPSA match 3 hours away in a little place called Wildcat Valley, and I squatted with Joey, not knowing how good he was.
And I didn't even know any of this happened
Yep, exactly.
until weeks ago. So,
yep, that's the funny part, right?
It blew my mind that your first match was you drove 3 hours because it's ridiculous. But, that's just, it's always great to hear. It always blows my mind when I find out that someone has come to my home range so far away.
I blame Workman. I mean, Workman was like, well, you should come down and shoot a match. I didn't really have a home club at that point, so I was still driving around shooting, finding places I like to shoot. And I was like, okay, I know you, so we'll go down here. And yeah, we squad with you, Heath, Lorton, and in Workman. It was a good time.
Oh yeah, we try to have a fun time out there. We normally try to build. I've always been involved with the stage building over there, and you can always tell which ones I've done, which ones other have. I normally have a lot of hardcover, but I always try to have a good mix of run and gun with distance mixed in the same stage because it's just fun to shoot up close, rip targets, and then still have to dial it back for them distance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But for the people who don't know you on the internet, who is Joey Zadik and how'd you get into shooting, sir?
Oh, it all started a long time ago when I was 18, year 2012. Or sorry, just 2012. It's actually, I can't believe it's been that long, but I was getting done with my senior year of high school and I decided that I was no longer going to do competitive swimming because that's what I used to do, all through high school. Most of my life, ages 6 to 18. And there was that missing void of like the sport. And my dad kind of saw that. I started shooting guns when I was 6, but then like kind of like trailed off as, things do. And he saw the Glock shooting sport, GSSF, and said we should give that a try. So we did, and then I was hooked. Did a lot of those. And then that year, same year, just dabbled with IDPA, USPSA, only shot one match. Did not do 3-gun yet because I didn't have that much equipment. And I always tell people that my starting shooting season didn't start till 2013 because that's when I really got in on it. It was like almost every weekend we're going to a USPSA match or an IDPA match and just shooting, having fun. And that's how it started. And then it just progressed as just a giant snowball effect. Got hooked.
That's pretty awesome. Fun fact: I was also a competitive swimmer. It's I think it's a torturous thing. If unless you love yourself, don't competitively swim. I don't know unless you know.
It's like a weird addiction. I will say that. Like once you start, you're I wouldn't say it's a cult, but it kind of is. Like you're like, yeah, it's amazing, it's fun, you should try it. And then people try it and they're like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I don't know.
Exactly. Were you a specialized stroke or did you swim distance?
Uh, I was a very weirdly specialized stroke. So I did mid distance. They would mix. I could do all of them. I could
Mhm.
do sprinting, mid distance, and long distance. I hate long distance because it's long distance, and as you know, it's terrible. You
Mhm.
basically just gotta keep a pace, and then the last 200 to 150 yards, you're like, time to sprint now, and then you just let it all out. Terrible. So I did mid distance because that was like the best pace for me because I would keep a pretty hard, steady pace for like 100 yards. And then the last 100 yards, I would just let it all out rip. And it was almost like, first 50 yards, just kind of like, take it easy, but don't fall behind. And then just like the next 50, put the gas on just a little bit and then full throttle the rest of the way.
Yeah, I was never a fan of the 500. Um, I I got stuck swimming the butterfly, the
Mm-mm,
IM, and breaststroke.
mm-mm, mm-mm. The butterfly and me are not friends, only because, oh God, when I was 10, 8, I forget the age, my mom knows, but I want to say 10, I shattered my collarbone snowboarding. Not really shatter it, I just like sheared it off my shoulder. Um, and ever since then, I've just had some like weird shoulder issues. It healed perfectly, but it's just a little funky because I destroyed it. And so whenever I would do the butterfly, my left arm would fly perfectly, and then my right arm, I couldn't lift it as high because it was just like some weird imperative thing going on. And I would do good for 25 yards, and then after that, I was only good for 50 yards. And towards the end of the 50, that's when my right arm just couldn't keep up anymore, or it just got out of the synchronization.
Mhm.
And then eventually I would get DQ'd because they'd say, no, you're doing freestyle now. And yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the worst pains is smacking your hand into the God, what do they call the lane lines.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
whack. I'm like fuck. And then it's
Between that or you know, because I was backstroke was like my domain.
Mhm.
I think mainly is because I could just breathe whenever I want, and that's what I love the most. I didn't care that I couldn't see where I was going. Right when I saw those flags, I was like, 1, 2, time to do a flip turn. But yeah, uh, the only time lane lines were an issue with me was during practice because we had to split the lanes, and so when I do backstroke, eventually somebody would start picking up the pace and try to pass me, and then like I would get bumped over a little bit, and then my ribs would like drag into the lane line, and it's the worst, it's the most roughest plastic. I mean, I'm a machinist. I feel all types of things. I don't know what lane lines are made out of, but it's the roughest plastic. There's no smooth. I don't know if it's because like they get dragged out of the water all the time and thrown everywhere, but they're not smooth.
No,
It
they're not smooth. Well, and they just
no.
sit there. They're not move like so. Like it wouldn't be bad if the lane line was moving like in another direction, but
Yeah.
it's stationary, and then you're just like, "Argh."
And like the steel cable, like if it's a good lane line, they're like super tight. So there's like very little give. So you hit it, it's like just hitting not a brick wall, but just about. Like there's no better like I would rather hit a wall, like a brick wall.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there. It was nice. We always had to put the crappy lane lines in for practice, and then when
Hmm.
we had like a home meet, we're like,
Put the good ones in.
get the crappy ones out, get the good ones in. Don't drag them.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And then there's always the guys who are like, "Well, I'm gonna swim it down." So then they get in the water and like take their sweet ass time. Like, can you hurry up? Like, we gotta hurry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had the pool at my high school was weird. One way was 25 yards and the other way was 33 and a third meters. And so yeah, exactly.
So it was like L shaped.
Yes, it was L-shaped, exactly. Where the yardage was where the diving well was too.
Mm-hmm.
So every swim meet we would do yards and then we'd have to move. Did we do one or two? Think we no, yeah, we did two. We had to move like the middle lane lines out so the divers could do their thing in the middle.
Yep. So then you got like two people like riding the lane lines, on the inside. That's what we always had to do too. And like our dive, luckily enough, our diving coach, um, they worked at like a college nearby, so they were able to use the college diving pool.
Mm.
So half the time the divers, we'd never see them; they'd be diving somewhere else, which was great because then we had 6 lanes to play in.
Oh yeah, we always practice in the meters. That way they had free reign of the diving well. So it's just a weird. It was weird, but we made it work.
I'm curious why they would have meters and yards set up though in the pool. Like, did like some college come use the pool at some point?
No, I think what originally happened was because the whole meter side is like shallow, like it like stays at like half of it is like 3 inch, not 3 inches, sorry, 3 feet or
Mm-hmm.
so, 3.5 feet, and then as you progress more towards like the diving well side, it starts getting closer to like 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was like a like water aerobics or like whatever on that side, and then like kind of like a multi-purpose thing, but I don't know. It was built a long, long time ago, like to the point where in the diving well they had like a two-way mirror.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a weird underground passage that we didn't know, like I didn't know how to get there. No one really did. And it's like a two-way mirror that you could like see people do dives, I guess. I don't,
That's kind of cool.
yeah.
That is pretty cool. But that's kind of cool. I mean, it's funny enough. I think you're the second or third swimmer who's been on the podcast, and it's like that's interesting because you don't find many people who are swimmers who actually swam 4 years in a row or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, no. I mean, whenever I've ever said anything about competitive swimming, everyone said, "You did what?" And I'm like, "Yep, that's it."
Yeah.
And
Nope.
that's normally how it goes. Not too many people are like, "Oh, yeah, me too," and then have a big discussion about it.
Yeah, it's such a weird. I mean, it's great for these winter, like up in the cold of the Midwest. You got to go do sports inside, so you might as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, have you said you started, really taking USPSA seriously in 2012, 2013. Have you ever taken like a training class, or are you all self-taught?
I did. I took one, not, I only went to one person and I took two or three classes with him, throughout the year. And it was with Steve Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
great guy, amazing. He has amazing books. I got his books. I read them. Terrific guy. And I still remember to this day, and I still battle it. And he's 100% right where he told me, I can't remember if this is the exact percentage. And I know he's probably, if he listens to this and he hears me talk, he's going to be probably upset or at least ashamed a little bit. But I believe he said that it's 80% mental, 20% skill. The mental side could be higher, but I'm going to say 80%. And it's true because not so much mental about, like what you're doing, but more mental about how you perceive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a mix of everything, but the more that the more I shoot, the more I actually battle myself mentally, not so much shooting, but just not beating myself up too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so if you have a bad stage, leave that on the stage. Don't take it to the next one.
Yeah, or just like how you carry yourself a little bit. Like if you think that you're a terrible shooter, that's how you're going to shoot. You know, kind of like that mentality of
Mm-hmm.
if for instance, like the last couple years with the way ammo has been going, people haven't been able to practice and all that. If you're out there and you're like, man, like, I'm not shooting as fast as I used to do. Well, you also got to put in consideration that how often are you going out to the range now and actually getting live fire?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the muscle memory through dry fire and, everything else is going to be there, but there's that little part of just being one with the gun that you're losing just because you're not out there, getting solid practices of, trigger time and this and that. Like, you lose it a little bit.
But
It's there, but you lose it. So I mean that's like I want to say that's like the toughest part because every time I go out to like practice before I kind of like before a season, I would like shoot and I would like think to myself, man, I used to do this a lot faster. Even looking back at like, 3 matches ago or 3 years ago when I shot, I feel like I've slowed down a lot, but I haven't really. It's just that's just how it feels.
yeah.
And you just can't let that get into your mind of, you know, oh, 3 years ago you're dominating stages like this, and now, you know, you're not as great as you used to be. You can't let those thoughts start going. And
Oh
I've
yeah.
been battling that for a bit, but I'm starting to come back, starting to regrip my bearings on things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can totally agree with you on that. Like, if you think about it, it's definitely something that you could ruin your shooting just having all those negative thoughts and kind of
Easy.
being you got to be realistic with yourself too, and which I think a lot of people need to understand about that as well. It's like
Oh yeah. I mean, go get his books. If you don't have his books, anyone listening, get them. They're great. Um, if it's possible, reach out to him, get training if you're new to the sport or if you just need to work on a few things because he drills the basics so good. I mean, it's all about the small things and the visualization. And when I first walked stages, when I first started the sport, I probably did what everyone did. Look around and go, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, going to do that, run over there, run here. And it's, my dad pulled up a few videos last weekend because he found them on his laptop. And he's like, look at this. And it was from 2017. And I watched him and I was like, man, that was a train wreck. But at the time I thought I was doing great. No, it was an absolute train wreck.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at it now and what I really want to do is I want to take my old videos, see what I, shot, the stage itself, see how it was built, rebuild it, reshoot it, videotape it, and do like a then and now comparison. And I think most people should try to do that just to maybe help make themselves feel a little better. I mean, I guess, but anyway, back to the visualization thing. He basically told me that, when you get your stage plan, constantly rerun it in your mind. Keep visualizing how you shoot, visualizing the steps, the targets, this and that, and completely changed everything from that point on. I mean, because it's basically every stage is a memory stage of just, you should never have to think about where's the next target. You know where it is. And you just,
Mhm.
you have your 8 targets and it's boom, 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 boom. And you just shoot them one at a time and just focus on that one target that you're shooting because you can't shoot any faster than your front sight or your dot, whichever one you have. I mean, and that's basically it. If the sight's there, go for it. If it's a hit that you want, if the dot's there, go for it. I mean, you can't start thinking about the next target while you're engaging that single target because then your points gonna start going down just because you're not focusing on what you're doing shooting wise.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we've worked on the draw over and over again, transitions over and over again. You know, drilled the idea of what leads the transition, and it's like, you know, your eyes and your hips. You
Mm-hmm.
know, your eyes snap, drive the hips, snap the head as hard as you can. And surprisingly, guess what? That gun's gonna go there as fast as you snap over there, you know? And it's just when you're starting out and you don't know anything, it's the best thing to do is to get training from someone who's been there, done it. You know, anybody, Steve Anderson, you know, Charlie Perez, just anybody, you know,
Mm-hmm.
something's better than nothing. And then
Oh,
once you feel like that you've put something into it, you got skin in the game and you're not gonna stop, you know.
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, when people go get training. It's you had to light this new fire, and it's going to kick a new bug in your, a new different bug of shooting, right? Like, we all get that bug about shooting matches and whatnot, but then when you start getting training and getting better that way, it seems like another fire is lit.
Oh yeah. And that's basically what happened. I mean, you know, I really wanted to, like, you know, win the local matches and win all these other matches. I really wanted to, like, you know, be the best around, and nothing really stopped me. I mean, at the time I was just in school, so I had a great advantage because I had nothing but free time. So, you know, dry fire, there was really no issue with that. It just come home, dry fire, couple times a day, just because what else do I have to do? You know, there's about like a 4 hour hole in my life that needs to be filled during the time, because it's basically what swimming took up, about 2 to 4 hours, depending on what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I had all the time in the world. So that's what I did, just dry fired and shoot, reloaded, casted my own bullets. At first, my dad did them to kind of like, you know, figure things out because he didn't trust me with lead at the time. And then it was all on me, did the coding and everything, and I never want to go back. That was pain in the ass. Making the bullets isn't hard, it's the coding.
Yeah.
Coding the lead bullets is the most time staking thing in the lead casting. I mean, it
Yeah.
took. Oh, you could go.
No, you're fine.
I mean, when I coded them, I had to do it 3 times, and each time was about an hour. So it was 3 hours to, you know, coat however many. I think I would do like 5,000 at a time or something, because I had one of those hand crank magma caster once.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, after so long, eventually I stopped casting once I got the 2011 STI DVCs. That's when I stopped casting. So from 20, yeah, so it'd be like 2013-ish, 2014 probably is when I was still casting. Started really, and up till 20, 2016, 2018. I want to say 2018. Yeah, so I mean it was like every weekend almost, or I would plan it out where one weekend I would spend like Friday or maybe Saturday, be like Saturday, all day casting, just 5 o'clock in the morning till about 10 o'clock at night, just nonstop going through lead. And then the next day, I would resize them all. And then the next weekend, I would coat them all. And it was just too much.
I would agree. That seems like a lot of work. Nowadays, you just order bullets online and it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Well, yeah, but you know, I was shooting at the time, I was shooting a lot of bullets, and you know, this is back when primers were, very readily available,
Mm-hmm.
and powder. Well, I mean, this was the Obama years, so I mean, it was hit or miss. You know, it was we all remember those times. I mean, powder, you could get it, primers, you could get them, but there was still like a good old price hike, and people were, doing their thing, hoarding and whatnot. But yeah, this is back when at the time I was shooting close to, this is gonna probably get you to laugh a little bit. I was shooting 200,000 rounds a year.
What?
Yeah.
200,000 rounds a year?
Uh-huh.
How
Yeah.
many barrels did you go through in the?
Surprisingly, I only went through one barrel in a Glock, factory Glock barrel, and I think it's actually due to my own fault of I would shoot lead and jacketed and plated, and so I think what caused it really was we got a batch of plated bullets. I won't say the manufacturer. And I don't know if it was just our fault or there was a mix up, or because we got it through like like one of those everyone get together and order type things,
Yeah,
it'll be
pull your
cheaper.
money. Yeah, you pull your
Yeah.
money, make a big order. Yeah.
Yeah, so and the box says, what was I think just the regular like 355, and because this was 9mm at the time, before this was back when I figured out that you need to do major for limited, um but I would still shoot 9 just because, so I would for practice I would do 9 and 40, but I destroyed a 9mm barrel. Like, it just wasn't grouping right because the bullets weren't sized properly. They were like 357, I think. No matter that they're supposed to be 355. Because I measured them and they were like all, but I didn't know. And they ran through the barrel because they're plated bullets, soft lead bullets with just copper plating. And I think that's just what did it, just running something that was oversized. And this was back when started reloading, didn't know any better, just expected everything to be perfect when you order it.
Right.
And then just start casting from there. But that was the only barrel that I wore out. Everything else ran fine. Glock barrels, STI barrels. I've actually never worn out a barrel except that one. So, and now it's just because of the bullets being oversized or a little funky or something. But yeah, I would shoot that much. The person that I normally ordered primers from, I mean, ever since COVID, he hasn't been able to really get them. But I was getting them for like $26 a thousand. So we just ordered like 200,000, 100,000 at a time or something. Just call it good for so long.
Might as well, right?
Yeah.
Get the primers in while you can.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was like, every year just like dialed back. So like when I first started, when I was training with Steve Anderson stuff, like shooting 2 to 3,000 rounds a day on a weekend, and not including, club matches, all this other stuff, not including getting ready for majors, which I would shoot like basically a month straight almost every day, and then kind of like dial back a little, kind of like a taper week almost for swimming term right there.
Yep.
So I would do a taper week in my words. Like the last week before nationals, I would just go out, or not nationals, just any major, and go out and practice, but not do like hard practices. So like I don't wear myself out anymore. Good recovery week before you go and actually compete. But yeah, so I mean, we were just flying through, primers and brass, and I mean, brass is nice. You always keep it, but just flying through stuff. So that's why we casted lead, and that's also what kind of like just kept me shooting a lot too, because it's like, it's lead, it's cheap,
Mm-hmm.
Because we would just get scrap lead anywhere, and it just equaled out to basically, fractions of a cent a bullet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And then as time progressed, I said no more casting. I'm not sizing anymore. I'm not, you know, not doing this. Plus my lead levels got a little high.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, they did. Not not, nothing critical, nothing dangerous, but like when I got tested, the doctor showed me and he goes, "This is what the normal rating is." And then he showed me mine and he goes, "This is someone who is supposed to work with lead for like, 10 years or something like that." And then, I was like a couple points above that. And he said I was like 5 points from being a concern. And I
Mhm.
said, you know what? We'll just stop. It's not that important.
Yeah.
So once I got the STI DVCs, I just only shot jacketed because I found that plated bullets, because I run lighter bullets, so like, the faster velocities, I have a problem with them holding up. And that's just because I run them at fast velocities. If you run them at probably not major velocities, they'd be fine, because I shot 155s at the time until COVID hit, and then I can't get them anymore, so now I'm shooting 165s. So, but yeah, that's the only reason why I don't shoot plate is just because I just had issues pushing these high velocities and them just shredding apart. Nothing wrong with the bullets. It's just my own doing as a reloader, just not doing what the manufacturer intended on.
Thanks, guys, for stopping in the middle of this episode with Mr. Joey Zadik. It's going to be an awesome one as we're going to finish this out. So, but we got to talk about the sponsors here. So, we got, first of all, the title sponsor of the podcast, Go Fast, Don't Suck, because they go fast, they don't suck. Awesome products. They got the awesome memes on the internet, match banners, match shirts, match jerseys, hats, hoodies, dry fire targets, because everybody needs some fucking dry fire targets. It's the winter. You need them. I'm sorry, you do. Don't forget, run over to huntershdgold.com. Find Brian's schedule, see what major matches he's going to be at for the year. Make sure you say hi, support him, and because he loves the sport, and you should love Brian. He's got Con of Gold, he's got candy, he's got stuff to fix your guns in his freaking van. It's a safe table, guys, so it's awesome. Go check out huntershdgold.com. Don't forget, run over to dominatedefense.com and use the code Manny Talks 10 for 10% off a Mach 1 speed belt combo because you need it. If I say so, the Paracast says so. So that's really two good, awesome shooting podcasts that talk about it. So, hey, get a Dominate Defense Mach 1 speed belt combo because they're fantastic. And use the code Manny Talks 10, not PARA10, because no, Manny Talks 10. Anyway, DivTechShop.com, guys, get awesome 3D printed magnets that you need. They're affordable and right price and made in America because they're 3D printed right here. So anyway, awesome color combos, great affordable prices made by a guy who's just trying to do things he wants and he wants to do and shoots on the sport. So it's awesome. Don't forget, run over to rangepanda.com and go get some awesome products also for your press, your Gucci guns, because everyone, shoots open guns nowadays. So you need a thumb rest. You need some foam for your gun case. You got it, you name it. They're going to have it for you. So go check out Range Panda. Or Eric and Gianni are great people. Don't forget, run over to laughandload.com. My friends Tony and Jackie of the Pew Time podcast, their website. Go pick up official Manny Talks Shooting t-shirt, an AFT agent shirt, or a Supreme Division shirt. All of those are great shirts. Go buy one. They're fabulous. They're soft. They're comfortable. I won't blame you for buying all three of them or buying me one. I don't know. I'm not saying you should, but anyway, go buy them because they're awesome. TimHeronShooting.com, guys, get on his schedule, find him. He's going to put you on the right direction where you need to be. If you're tactically minded, you're competition minded, or you just want to be a performance-based shooter, TimHeronShooting.com. Last but not least is Chile Custom Gunworks. They're the Michigan Sectional of 2023 and Area 5 title sponsor. So Matt's a homeboy and he's nearby, so go check him out. He's awesome, fantastic. And my custom gun is made with Chile Custom Gunworks parts, so maybe yours should be too. But anyway, you need a staccato grip or for a Prodigy, put a Chile grip on it. You'll thank me later. But anyway, time to get back to this episode of Mr. Joey Zadik. So I see you. You said you're a machinist, right? So you came out with this your cool new thumb rest. Well, this is what? How many iterations of your thumb rest have you made now?
Okay, so this all originated because I bought a thumb rest.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the angle on it. And no one had the angle that really felt comfortable to me. I didn't like the 55 degree that most of them have, just throwing your thumb up there.
Mm-hmm.
and nothing wrong with that. It's just my own opinion with grip and everything, and just how it feels to me. And I got an adjustable one, and it didn't really adjust to what I felt was right. And then the way they machined it and the material it was made out of, it just like snapped like right on the middle screw because it was so thin. And I sent them a picture and I said, hey, is there any like, can we, I pointed out, maybe if you don't put the countersinks this deep. And reminder, this is at a time when I knew nothing about machining yet. I didn't even get into machining yet. Originally, I wanted to be a police officer. I went to college and everything, and then I tried for a couple years, and I was very picky with who I wanted to go with. So I'm sure I could have been a cop. Some agency would have loved me, or some department, but I was very picky. And after 2 years of trying, handful of departments, I got an opportunity to become a machinist, go through a 15-week program, and the rest was there. Once I started, I couldn't stop. It was amazing. So just love it. I don't know what it is about it. I just love it.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, and it's definitely nice to you know what you're looking for now, and you know what you want, right?
Exactly.
So that's definitely a cool aspect of it. Is like you can go and decide I'm gonna go make this part, and you can go crank it down.
But it all started because it broke, and I still had because I bought a couple of them. I bought two because I had two guns. One broke. They sent me a new one. It broke again, and then they basically said, we can't really do anything for you anymore at this point. And I said, okay. Even though, like I said, hey, is it possible you just like make one or just change the way that you do this and maybe it won't happen? And they're like, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, well, that sucks. And then I got into machining. I was at the class, and this all happened during the class. I still had the two left that didn't crack yet. And I just looked at it and I said, well, if I just do this and I change the angle and I make it out of something that's durable and will last forever, it'll be fine. And so I did. I re-engineered it, did some things, and I had the original ones were still on my guns until about a month ago when I redid the stippling. Because the stippling was the hardest part for me, because I just did like a square checkering. And for anyone who machines out there, if you saw the way I was doing it with just a 1/16 end mill and just, making a square. It took forever, and I broke a lot of end mills because it's in stainless. And yeah, so I said, after gaining a whole bunch of knowledge in my career, I said, this is not the way to do it anymore. So I remade it, and the only thing that changed was the stippling. And after I made the changes, it's way more. I mean, originally it was pretty aggressive compared to other ones that I have tried. But this one was like just that aggressive feel that the Evo grips have. You grab one of those, it's not sliding off. I mean, there's people that try to sandblast them or, try to take the aggressiveness down a bit because they think it's too aggressive, but I love them. They're so like, I have no worry about anything slipping out of my hands with those. And same with this. I mean, that's why I put the new ones on mine, but I've been rocking them since 20, let's see. Yeah, about 2018 is when I made them. And that is when how long I've been using them for? 2018. So yeah. Actually, no. Got out of college 2016. A year that I took the next class. Yeah, no. Oh, it's 2017, 2018, around there. Anyway, same timeline, but it's all a blur. Once you start cutting metal, it's just all blur.
Right, exactly. Well, and it's cool. I mean, like you've posted new pictures on, the social medias of the new one, and it's freaking it looks really nice, and
Oh yeah.
it's definitely a shredder, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. And the nice thing is like I shoot really snappy rounds.
Hmm.
Like I'm probably like a one most of the time like 170, 175, and I went out and tested one that was more aggressive than this one because it was a junk one that I screwed up a long time ago, but
Hmm.
the paddle wasn't done, so I said, it's fine. And I tested it and like didn't mess up like my thumb or anything, and I said, you know what? No matter that it feels like needles, because I pre did the paddle just a bit with a keyway cutter a long time ago, the way I was doing it, trying to cut out an operation or at least one way with the 1/16th end mill.
Hmm.
And so I took one of those and I said, if I just do it the way I'm doing it now, let's just see what happens. So I did, and it was way more aggressive than this one, but it didn't cut my thumb open or do anything crazy out of 100 rounds. And luckily for me, normally at Wildcat, it's basically like your own private range when you go out there at the weekend.
Hmm.
So like practicing, maybe only a few like old skeet shooters or just some people around there, the old retired guys, everyone has them at the range.
Oh yeah.
They'll be there, but most of the time no one else is there. Luckily for me, there was like 10 people at the 100-yard like bay 8, and
Hmm.
I was like, this is perfect. I could get other people's opinions. So I loaded up magazines and I said, after I shot a few, they're like about to leave, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You want to shoot my gun? And they gave me weird looks because like, they don't know me, but I'm like, I'm testing something out here. Just shoot it and let me know. And so they picked it up and they shot, 10 rounds, and they all did, and they're all like, that's a nice gun. I'm like, yeah, yeah, but what'd you think about that thumb rest there? And they're like, I loved it. It's and I'm like, it didn't hurt or anything, like asking,
Hmm.
basically legal questions at that point.
Right.
And they're like, no, it's great. And then my buddy Tim like pulled up right when I was leaving, and I said, I gotta get his advice because he actually shoots competition. So he shot it and he goes, this is real nice. And I'm like, how's your thumb doing? And he like showed me and he goes, well, it's not bleeding and there's no like, marks or anything. I'm like, that's what I like to hear. So that's after that day, I said, that's it. It's finalized. It's done. So I've only done, I have 8 variations that I want to do. I've tested all of them except for the IPSC one, but basically they're all the same. The only difference is the distance of the paddle. I have a large, so it's like a little bit more forward towards the barrel, and then a medium, and then a small, and then the paddle just moves closer to you depending on your hand size. And then I'm going to do right hand, left hand, IPSC. So 3 each, should be about 9 of them. So
Well,
it's
that'd
the
be
goal.
cool. That'd be cool when you fully launch those. That'll be freaking awesome.
Yeah, and I have other things in the works. It's just, it's just one of those things where when you don't have your own machines and you can only basically do them at work when machines are open. I mean, there's machines open, but I want to use certain machines because of just their capabilities and it makes my life easier. So it's like I just gotta wait a little bit, but yeah, it's coming. It's coming along.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's always that it's gonna be coming in. It's gonna be freaking awesome. But yeah. So you're one of those guys who doesn't wear a jersey, but you wear these bright shirts.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah,
Neon
yeah.
shirt.
Everyone sees you on the range.
Hmm. Yeah, it really helps my parents find me too when they're my squad, my crew, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, because half the time I don't know where I'm going. I
Yeah.
I really don't. I kind of like get there and then I realize I'm like, that's my squad that I need to be with. And then I go there, I'll start walking stages, and then they'll be looking around. They're like, that's all they look for is yellow shirt. So if everyone wore a yellow shirt at a match, they'd be totally lost.
I mean, your dad would find you at some point.
At some point, he would most likely just whip out the red chair and sit down at a bay and be like, he will find me when he wants to find me.
Exactly. But your dad is always with you. It seems like he's
Oh,
your
yeah.
personal cameraman, chauffeur, water boy.
No, my mom does all the drinks and the food, as you know, moms do every 5 seconds, asking if I'm thirsty or hungry or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, he's always been involved. I mean, ever since he helped me start this, and same with like, you know, this business that I want to start on my own. He's been involved greatly in that too, giving me advice, so on and so forth. And you know, my parents are awesome. No matter if you see me, you know, having attitude or yelling at them, you know, that's just the little, I guess, punk teenager still in me, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it happens. But
I told you I wanted mayonnaise on my sandwich, Mom.
no, it's not that bad. It's always just like, I'm not hungry. And of course she'll always ask me after I like there's like a stage where like I shot like 3 mics or something, and then of course, you know, I'm like trying to calm down. She's like, do you want something? And I'm like, no, what's wrong with you? And everyone on the stage probably thinks I'm an asshole, which I am, but you know, every time like I'll like wait 20 seconds and I'll be like, I screwed up. I shouldn't have yelled.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I actually tried to drag my mother to a match once, and she obviously didn't understand what we were doing, and it's like, now you know. But she's like, yeah, they don't, either they don't get it, or it's like then it takes you forever to explain anything, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah, no. So oh God. It was last year sometime. My girlfriend saw the match for the very first time. We've only been dating for 2 years and some change now. And like she first saw like a local match out at Wildcat, and we were doing our walkthroughs before the match. And like she walked up and she saw us doing it, and she's like, you know, if I knew nothing about the sport and knew nothing about the guns, I think you all were gay because we're just like we're just all walking the stage, like, you know, doing a little dance, if you will.
Mhm.
And uh one of the local shooters at Wildcat, Repeat Riggs' wife was there.
Yep,
And you
April.
know, yeah, and she looked at Rachel and said the same thing. Goes, you know, when I first saw a match, I said the exact same thing. And they laughed, you know, and she's like, but it's really fun, you know. Now I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because you know, you walk around the stage and all of a sudden, you know, you have your air gun up and you're taking that big step and you're dipping and bobbing and just it looks like a ballet dance a little bit, you know, depending on how you do it.
Until you get the guy who's going obviously the wrong way.
Uh-huh, yeah, those left-handed shooters, I think, is what they're called.
I mean, well, that's not even true. Or it's the guy, it's like one of those start anywhere stages, and they're like, I'm going to start in the front. I'm like, you do you, but you are totally screwing up our conga line.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to run backwards on a stage and, you know, come into target arrays awkwardly, I guess you could do that, but
I mean, some people are really good shooting on the move backwards, though. Like,
oh, it you know, it does depend on the stage. There's a couple stages where I've done it, but I mean, there wasn't like a great advantage of starting in the other position that was uprange. Like, you know, it like kind of like seemed like, you know, the extra 3 steps moving
mhm.
forward compared to like going backwards on targets. Because like by the time you move to like the front of the bay, like you had to get into like a certain spot and only shoot like two, and then you have to like move to the other side. So it was just easier to start up front. But yeah, I some situations it does make a difference, but most
Right.
stages it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about a little bit about Wildcat because this is it's a pretty impressive range. You got your long range, you've got your shotguns,
Hmm.
but then you got like your 8 bays or so of shooting, of practical shooting. Um, I don't know why we were always dumbasses and started on Bay 4 and then had to go to 5, 6. They're like all the way down. And then, you got to go all the way back. I'm like, why?
Yeah, go back to 3. Yeah.
It's like, can we like start at like 2 or 3 and then work our way this way? No, we must start in the middle. You jackasses. It was all because the classifier was like, I want to say in 2 or 3, right?
Yes. So it'd be the first plate bay is normally the classifier. And I think the only reason why we do that is because it is the hardest to really set up a good stage on. Because it's just so narrow and long. You can't really move left to right. And like if you move forward and backwards, like you're not really setting up a really fun, good stage. There's just not that much room. So that's normally the classifier stage. I mean, and the next stage over, the other plate bay, isn't any better, but it's a little bit wider. So
yeah, and you can play around with the plates and use those to your advantage. And I'm not a big fan of those plate racks, but that's just me.
I don't like. Okay, so if you ever go to Wildcat, the bay that normally has the classifier on, those are actual real plate racks that some company has made. If you go to the stage that we always use the plate rack on, bay 4, no, bay 5, sorry. I always forget the 300 because I never shoot on it hardly. On bay 5, those are homemade range plate rack. It's not, we didn't buy them. Someone said, "Oh, I can make you a plate rack," and did it. And that is why it is not the best, in my opinion. People who have shot it will agree. It's just not, it's not great. And I think it mainly was because of they used to do target action, pistol, and bullseye a lot there. And if you notice, the back plates used to have like bowling ball pins, and I think that was like a little side match, or like they would do bowling ball pin shoot, and that would be it. Instead of setting up actual bowling pins, just do the plates. I think I'm not sure. That was way before my time, and somehow they're still going, and I really, really hate those play racks. It's I hate them so much.
Just take a giant torch out there and be like, "Oops, I broke it."
I don't know how many times, because this is just something like just going down the rabbit hole, but there's so many times I go out there and I see people standing like 10 yards away with like a shotgun and just like blasting them, and I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that, but okay. I'm just like, if I hear screaming, I know why.
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, there's no difference. I mean, in 3-gun, you're blasting knockdowns and other stuff around that yardage. But I mean, they're not the best. They're really not.
No, they're not. But yeah, but it's a decent range. I mean, you got a big old barn to put everything in, it seems like, and
if only you know the stories. But yeah, we do have a big barn, but
no one puts it away right, right? Is that how it works?
No. Okay, so normally what happens is, not to say any names, not to say any disciplines, but USPSA puts everything back perfectly. And every time we have to set up the stages, it's all shit. Every time. I don't know who does it, but someone does it. And I'm sure it being a free use barn of anyone can use walls, anyone can use targets. I'm sure as time progresses, people grab a couple stands here and there and just goes, and just toss them. And over time, but that's the story of any range. There's always people that just don't put things back.
Oh yeah. When like our USPSA barn at our club, like at Brooklyn, like everything, like unless you have the padlock code to the barn, you're not getting in, and that's only for like.
I love that.
And you like, so unless you're setting up a match or something, you don't use those 10 bays that are all together. You have to go use the 6 that are on top of the hill.
Oh really?
Yep. So if you want to personally practice, there's some target stands out, but and there's sticks, but yeah, you gotta pretty much bring whatever prop you want. But you can only use steel on one bay up in those upper six, which is no big deal, but nobody uses steel up there anyway.
Yeah, who shoots steel anyway?
I mean, it's kind of convenient, like if you have one of those resetting poppers,
Oh yeah.
and they just bloop bloop.
Oh
But
yeah, that would be nice. We don't that's so we have stuff like that in the smaller barn.
mhm.
That's all our steel goes in there, and that is locked up. Only people who know, and that's basically it. I was given the privilege to that without the board granting me privilege because I helped with USPSA and everything. So I was basically grandfathered in. Um, but yeah, I never messed with those because those are 3-gun. Those were meant for 3-gun, and I didn't want to be responsible for someone being like, "Why is my target destroyed?" So,
Yeah.
or just anything that could happen, I could get blamed for, even though pistol rounds won't damage them as bad as rifle or anything. But didn't want to take the heat for it. So, but yeah, I just don't like lugging out poppers and steel. Like it's just I'll lug out like one or two, but that's really it. And I think it really shows because when I go against poppers, I am never the winner. Hardly
Yes.
ever.
Especially the minis that don't have heads and they just like to laugh at you.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Well, that's what they have in IPSC. So I mean, if you want to shoot lots of IPSC, that's what you're stuck with, unfortunately.
Yeah, but there's no ifs. There's none of those matches in the United States. That's the only problem.
I mean, we have what, one match a year, IPSC US Nationals. That's
Yeah.
it.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But yeah, which I think is something pretty cool. You guys are actually you and Timothy or Timothy. I don't know. I call him Timothy because that workman got me on that. But you guys are starting up a PCSL matches at your club, right?
Yeah. So, um, it just seemed new and exciting. I liked the way that the rules were going and the divisions and the like just the new excitement of something new.
Mhm.
Uh, so yeah, the plan is, and we don't know yet. We haven't really gotten the full approval or the dates that I know of, unless it got lost in my emails or something. But our plan was to do the second weekend of the month after IDPA, Saturday and Sunday. So, because IDPA is the second Saturday of the month,
Mhm.
and Tim planned on doing the 2-gun. I planned on doing the single gun, and he was going to do evenings, so basically right after them. And our goal is there would be some props and everything out, and we just tell him leave it, don't worry about it, and also hope that maybe some of the people shooting would stay and help with setup because that's the hardest part.
It is.
Just getting people there and hoping that there's people there, there's members or people trying to be members, so on and so forth. I'm assuming it's not going to work out as much as we would like it, but it's worth a shot. And so he was going to do evenings, and I was going to do Sunday, just like a regular shooting day, morning to whenever it ends.
Right. Now, you said he's going to try to do 2-gun. Is he going to allow center fire rifles like 223?
Yep. Yes. So
is your steel rated for that, or would you not be able to use
yes.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
all the steel at Wildcat is AR 500. Even the cowboy action is AR 500 now. A lot of stuff has happened where people have put holes in steel when we tried to do pistol only. There's some targets still left that are pistol, but they're marked. But anyway, so yeah, there's been countless stories. There was one time cowboy action put out all of their steel, and someone came out and actually put holes in every single piece that night.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they showed up in the morning with just like, not Swiss cheese riddled, but just like, couple holes in each one. That's, just one hole is bad enough. I mean, who knows? Doesn't take much for something to bounce back. And those guys shoot real close. They're not like, super far away. They're within 10 yards, most likely. I mean, from what I've seen, they're pretty close on some targets. But yeah, so then after that, there was a big thing. I remember I got accused because I was practicing one night and then like at a meeting it happened. I didn't know that I got called out, and the cowboy action guy actually stood up and be like, no, he only shoots pistols. He doesn't shoot rifles, and that's not going to go through those plates, And yeah, I mean, so ever since then, AR 500. So we should be able to do it. Any rifle targets, it's not going to be closer than 25 yards just for safety reasons. I mean, I don't want something coming back at somebody.
Well, and yeah, you've got the depth in your bays, so it's
Yeah, every bay. I mean, not all bays need steel, but I mean, there's a lot of bays. I mean, you got bay 3. I mean, even the smaller plate bays, I mean, 3-gun uses steel on them. They throw them up on the berm a little bit, and you can only shoot them from one corner and the other corner, but they make it work. So I mean, I was expecting a lot more pushback from the board, but I didn't realize that the board, because I never go to club meetings because I'm such a great member, and I didn't realize that like the good old boys that ran the club for so long are all out, and it's all new people, and I didn't realize that it's everyone that I either know or have connection with, or they just know me. And so when I brought it forward with Tim, they basically just said, well, if you're involved, that's fine. And, and like, Tim, you're a great guy too. And then basically they liked the idea that you didn't have to affiliate with the league and you just keep all the money.
Yeah. The only downside is
So,
that you're going to spend money on targets. Like,
yeah. And they didn't even bat an eye at that. They're like, so what's your startup cost? And I'm like, I told him, I said, what? He goes, what's your startup cost? And I said, to be honest, I didn't think we get past this meeting. And they all laughed and they're like, well, we're here to shoot, right? And I like looked at Tim because like back in the day, they hated rifles. No matter it's a rifle and pistol club, they only loved like high power rifles, doing the good old high power division sport, They didn't like anyone with ARs doing 3-gun stuff, and they despised 3-gun for the longest time, and caused them a whole bunch of issues. And so I was just shocked that we even got that far. And so yeah, basically, if you're anyone listening, if you're gonna come, there's 2 divisions for 2-gun. There's competitor and there's practical. Competitor is just basically you could do almost anything and have any gun. You could shoot PCC, center fire, 5.56, 308, sky's the limit. Same with your handgun. It's basically it's open class with I mean there's rules, but you could look it up on their website. But nice thing with this sport is at any time you can change your gun without any approval. So like if you're doing the competitor 2-gun and you're on a shorter stage, for instance, like our plate base, you don't have to shoot 5.56. You could switch to your PCC if you wanted to. And there's no like you don't gotta call anyone over. Like it's just solely
on the competitor.
Yeah, you come out to compete, you bring your best gear, and that's just how it's done, I mean, we've all heard stories in USPSA back in the day where, people got accused of switching, at like in Florida Open, at long distance, people had 6-inch guns, and then at short bays, all of a sudden their 6-inch guns don't work the next day and they switch to a 5-inch. I don't, we've all heard random stories like that. But it's same thing applies, but you're allowed to do it,
Yeah, exactly. And the people are going to do whatever. I mean, but there's rules in USPSA to deal with that. You call the range man, tell
Oh
the range
yeah,
they got to
yeah,
re-chrono or they got to chrono both guns when they get to chrono.
yeah. And everyone who does that, like they all get busted. It's something goes awry and their plan doesn't work out. People who do non, what's the word? People who are unsportsmanlike, it comes around, you know. So, but I mean, it's just one of those things. Instead of just, you're just allowed to change guns, but the practical you cannot switch your guns or at least change your gear out, I believe. I think. I don't know. It's new. I haven't read the rules that much. I just know some of them that piqued my interest.
Yeah, and it's definitely I would think it's a cool sport and it's I don't know if it's going to be the new way we going things, but it's a different flavor. Um, I like that you can pretty much run whatever gun you want. There's essentially there's open division or there's non-open division.
Yeah.
Um, so there's definitely a lot of different things you can look at.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, they limit what you can do. I mean, just like any division, any sport,
Mhm.
I think it's more of just the idea of it being a free flow, you know, kind of like, here's the outline, do what you want.
Right.
And that may change as time progresses, but that's just how it is right now. I think it's just more of as a starting sport, just come out, have fun, let the rounds fly, compete, do good, get that hunger back and if you're burnt out or whatnot. I mean, they do have majors out west, but not out east. I mean, it's a new sport. They're solely focused in the west.
Yeah, well, that works for Max, right? Because
Yeah, I mean, he's out that way.
right, he runs it.
Why it
So
works. Yeah.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean, even single gun, I mean, there's some divisions I wish there was like more irons because I'm an iron shooter. I'm not much of a dot shooter, which I'm gonna have some interesting troubles with because I'm gonna shoot carry optics this year too. I'm gonna mix and match, so we'll see how that goes. Um, so yeah, I wish there was more irons because there's only one, and it's like it's called I forget the name, but it's the only one. You get 18 rounds, and everything's minor scoring, but everything else is optic. There's basically a carry optic style where it's open, but you can't have a port on your gun
mhm,
or a compensator, my bad. And then there's open, which is, do whatever you want. And then there's PCC. So,
mhm.
I mean, I wish there was more irons, but maybe that'll change. Who knows? Maybe I don't know, but it'll be a fun change of pace.
Mhm.
Same thing but different.
Well, and maybe you don't. Maybe I know we don't want to all realize this because guys who know how to use the bumpy sights, maybe they're going the way of the dodo. Maybe even USPSA will think about either consolidating or changing what divisions we have due to the popularity in the market about red dots.
I mean, now don't I went out and I shot my carry optics gun and I will say this, I don't have anything tuned. I don't have my loads tuned like for the dot at all because I shot it and I was like, this is gonna be fantastic because the dot is nowhere.
Right?
And but then again, I was also like, I load them quick just to kind of like just test everything out, kind of get back in the swing of like loading 9 because I haven't loaded it in, since I switched to major, so forever. Um, and then I've only shot a dot on rifles, or I shot like a few of my friends like open gun, like like only
Mhm.
like 10 rounds here and there. So and those dots don't move because they're mounted. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting, especially when nationals is basically right around the corner. Basically,
Mhm.
right when it gets warm, it's time to go to nationals.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I only have like a month to get my carry optics like down.
Yeah. Did you get awarded a slot to go to Carry Optics Nationals then through the
I did.
section?
I did. Yeah, I asked for the slot for limited and carry optics, and I got them. So as of right now, I am going to both of those this year.
Well, especially it's so close. It's only like what? How far is,
Oh,
from to Ohio for you?
that's why I loved it. They're both in Ohio. I'm like, there's no way I can't go. It's only depending on I actually don't know where the range is located, but I know for me to drive to Zanesville, so basically Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
um, it's only like maybe like depending on construction, depending on traffic and everything, it's like a six hour drive maybe, and that's with like with stops in the way.
Oh,
I want to say,
this is nothing. It's 4 hours for you to get from if you were in Lafayette Central, right? Like if you were
mhm.
at Lafayette, you go down to Indianapolis, you go all the way past Daytona, hit Columbus, and go north.
Oh, it's right by Columbus,
Yeah.
basically. Oh yeah, no, this is a hop, skip, and a jump for me. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, now I'm even more excited.
Right. Like I only have, well, shit, you only have 40, no, about, yeah, because it's only 3.5 hours to there for me. So you're
Mhm.
only like, it says 4 hours, 11 minutes. So that's not bad at all.
Yeah, Indy to get to Indy is about an hour. If I've done it in less, but not to incriminate myself, but
Yeah.
I have made it about like a 40-minute, 30-minute drive once. I was
Mhm.
flying though. I was in a big hurry, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's gonna be awesome though. That's gonna be awesome for sure.
oh yeah, like right when I saw it was Ohio, I thought they were joking because like I was like, there's no way. And then I waited and it still said it was Ohio, and I was like, and by waited, I mean I waited 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, if it's still official, then all right. And you know, I can't wait now. Like, it's just it's amazing because every time for nationals, I have to fly somewhere. I loved when it was in Alabama because we actually drove to that one because it wasn't that bad of a drive. But Florida, fly, St. George, Utah, which we haven't been to in a bit. Um, Flow to that one. But yeah, it's just nice not having to spend money on plane tickets.
Yeah, and you can drive, and the best part is you leave the range on after the match, you can drive home and be in your bed the same night.
Yeah, yeah. I will say I did the worst one I've ever done was Area 3. And I left the match Sunday and we drove all the way back in one trip.
Oof.
Yeah, and it was in Nebraska, I think. Yeah, Nebraska. So I think it was like no, it couldn't have been an 18-hour drive. It was it was ridiculous. I remember that. I got home like early in the morning and I had to go to work basically. I didn't sleep. I just got home and went to work.
Ugh. Those are always the worst, those drives.
Yeah. Yeah, and the worst thing is in Nebraska, Iowa area, it's all
Corn.
corn.
Yeah.
There's nothing exciting to keep you awake, and that's the only reason why that interstate's like 85 miles an hour because they're like, just get out of here.
Yep. You just get past the big old truck stop and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, because I will say that's my most favorite interstate I've ever been on because it's like a 6 lane or like an 8 lane. I want to say six. 8 lane seems ridiculous,
Hmm.
but I've never run into traffic on that interstate because there's nowhere further to be traffic unless there's a crash. But then
Hmm.
again, I've only driven on it once because I never went back to Area 3 just because it's so far away.
Yeah.
And it was hot and sandy. For me,
Mhm.
not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Speaking Area 3, 2023 is here. So what majors are you planning on shooting in 2023?
As of right now, just the Buckeye Blast, Carry Optics Nationals, Area 5, and Limited Nationals. That's
Not a bad schedule. Not too bad. Not too many. Not too little.
Yeah, I mean more than I usually have been shooting the past couple of years. I kind of stick around to 3. In the past couple of years, it's just been 2 because I always try to do the Indiana sectional since it's my state.
Mhm.
And past couple of years it's gotten canceled. So
Are we looking good for this year, or is
I
it
have
gonna?
no idea.
Because I hope because I was looking forward to shooting that last year. I didn't get a chance to sign up because it didn't work into my schedule until the end until they canceled it. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, we just been having no one's been signing up to it. And I honestly just think it's mainly because most of the people that shoot the Indiana section are only from Indiana. Most of the time, we got some like, outsiders coming in. But the
Yeah,
participation in Indiana has like dropped the past couple of years. I mean, no one's really shooting. I don't know if it's an ammo thing. I don't know if they've lost interest. I don't know if it's just like, I don't want to spend money on majors. I don't know what it is. I can only assume COVID did not help anything, and not getting primers is not helping anything, or ammo reloading cost. Something's a factor, and people aren't doing what they used to do.
yeah.
So,
We're in the same boat up here in Michigan. It's like it's definitely seemed like things have dropped off, which is not very fun.
mhm.
um at all because shooting like when you plan on people coming in and shooting your matches, it's just like where's all the attendance, like because we you go from having a 60-person match, now you're down to a 45-person match, and you're like, this is no fun.
Yeah, I don't know what the last number was for Wildcat, but it wasn't a lot. Like I don't even think we got close to 30. But
Hmm.
then again, I think it rained on the last one, or one of them. It rained and there was like hardly anyone there. But um, yeah, like normally we have like anywhere from like 50 is like a low number to us. It used to be, and it was normally like depending on what was going on, it would be like anywhere from like 60 to 80 shooters. And we'd be there all day, but that's just how it was. Now it's like, lucky if you get 35, 40 shooters.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what you got to live with essentially.
Yeah, I mean, and from what I've been told by people like in the area, that's how it is at every club in Indiana. I mean, over at Atlanta, it's the same way. Down in Terre Haute, same way. I haven't gone to Southern Indiana for such a long time because it's such a long drive. It's a 3-hour drive, so I mean, I guess you would be like, it's not that bad, but 6 hours in total down and back, round trip, but it's just too much just for a local match.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, I used to do it all the time, but not anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still blown away that you went down the Wildcat that one time because I'm looking at it now. I'm like, man, that's no way. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Not for a
well,
local match.
well, and it's definitely one where you got to really consider driving that far anymore. It's you got to choose your battles on that one. But
Oh yeah.
it was definitely a fun entry level. It was a fun match. Got to shoot with people I knew. It was interesting. It was a good match. Have you ever made it up to North Porter?
Uh, you want to know something? Everywhere kind of blends together to me.
Well,
I've sh
North Porter's up in Chesterton, up there by Michigan City, Indiana.
I don't think so.
Well,
I
that's a cool
can't say
range.
that I have.
But I've driven 2 hours to that match too, and that was a good match too, though. But that one really fucked me up because it's in Indiana, but it's in Central Time Zone.
Yeah, we have those. Yep. Yeah, if you go anywhere southern Indiana, most likely it's all central. In fact, Terre Haute Central, if
Hmm.
if I recall. But yeah, so I mean it's like once you go past south of Indianapolis, it's mostly gonna be central time. Here on Kentucky time now. And
Hmm.
then if you go north so far, yeah, you're on Illinois time. So
Yeah, it's
I mean, it's a weird. It's so weird because if you go to like Kentland,
mhm.
which is like right on the border of like, Watsika, Sheldon, basically right on you're only like a 5-minute drive from the border. It's still Eastern, but like if you go to like the center of Indiana and go down south on 65, boom, Central. So I don't know what draws the line because it doesn't make sense in Indiana.
Yeah, it absolutely does not.
Yeah, there's no latitude marker. It's just a free for all.
Which is very annoying for someone traveling there, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you already committed your 2 hours and you get there and all of a sudden gotta wait another hour.
Which is great because that means I got to have breakfast.
Ooh, that is a plus.
I mean, that was the only upside of being early. It was like, oh, well, I can stop and get breakfast now because my phone turned over to when we pulled off the highway. I'm like, my phone switched time zones. Anyone know what time zone this match is in? I was calling on my Chicago buddies, who are coming to this match, and
Hmm.
they were like, "Oh yeah, it's in Central Time." I'm like, fuck, I'm here an hour early, so
Yeah,
I got breakfast.
makes absolutely no sense.
But yeah, yeah. So, but I don't regret going down there for my first match. I do plan to hopefully, if the schedule aligns, I'm gonna try to come down to one of your PCSL matches, so
Oh,
we can give it a try because that seems like fun.
I'd appreciate it. But yeah, no, I don't blame you for driving because back in the day, I would do it all the time, and you meet a lot of great people doing it. I mean, if you're just starting out, anyone listening, go to as many matches and travel as much as you can. Don't burn yourself out in the year, but do it because you might be at a certain level at your local match, like your local range that you always go to. You go to a different one, and boom, you no longer place the way that you normally do because not everyone goes to the same matches. Like there's me, I will not go to Southern Indiana anymore for any matches just because it's too far. So I mean, just for a local match, like so there's some people who just won't do it, other people will. And I think it just depends on if they're going to be shooting majors soon or whatnot. But go travel, get the blend of life with everyone, and then you kind of also know, wow, this is where I actually place. This is what I need to actually compete against. And you'll probably actually start going to that match that's an hour and a half away because you know that one shooter's there or those 10 shooters are there compared to the one that's just, you know, down the road 15, 20 minutes away.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you're going to be the top dog at some point, and that's the fun part.
Oh yeah.
Well, Joey, do you actually have any sponsors, or is that yellow shirt the only thing you got sponsor going on?
That's my only thing I got going on. I have no sponsors, never had any sponsors. I've never asked either. Um, I I thought about doing it, and then the people that I knew, like Chad, Boquette, he doesn't shoot anymore, and some other people, um, they were sponsored with somebody. I know who, but I'm not going to say the name. And they just basically told me it wasn't worth it just because all they did was cover match fees, but they also wanted them to go to a lot of matches.
Mm-hmm.
So they could like, because they sponsored the match, so you gotta go there. Not saying everyone's like that, but that was just the one place. And I'm sure things have changed now, but that's just what he told me. It may not be true, but and that kind of just threw me off from it at the time because yeah, I didn't want to have to get a call and be like, hey, can you do this? And be like, I don't really want to, drive and spend that money. I wasn't expecting that. And be like, well, you have to. I don't want to be forced to shoot a match. I'd just rather go and compete and do that. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I've never had sponsors. That probably never happened, and he just may have just had a bad day or something. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. You never know. But
But
Joey,
yeah,
I'll go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, never had any sponsors. If anyone's willing, I would be interested. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've never just the yellow shirt. That's about it. The Johnny Bravo hair, the aviators, you know.
Got to flex on us all, right? With the hair you still have.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Some of us
Yep.
aren't that lucky.
Yeah, I'm starting to wear hats now when I compete most of the time because it's sunny or something. So the hair's slowly going away. And I
Yeah.
only wear it now when I compete. So that's my staple, I guess.
Hmm. Exactly. Well, Joey, thank you for coming on, brother. This has been fun. It's been cool kind of catching up and chit-chatting with you. And I know the listeners are going to enjoy this one. So,
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I didn't really know what I was getting into, and I also didn't really know people were really that interested in the life of Joey. So makes me feel a little bit better about myself at least, or at least makes me, I don't know, feel like I still got it, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. Well, hey, now it's just a confidence booster. But thank you for coming on, brother, and to the listeners. Until next time, get out and do things, and I will see you on the next one.